That morning, the air was thick with palpable tension as Elon Musk stepped through the doors of the federal court in Manhattan. Dressed in a well-tailored dark suit but without the rebellious tie he usually sported, his face was a mask of calculated calm. Photographers jostled behind the barriers, their flashes popping like gunfire. Inside, Judge Theodore Roberts, a 67-year-old veteran known for his sternness towards the powerful, awaited, his piercing eyes hidden behind thin-framed glasses. The murmur of the packed courtroom faded as the bailiff announced, "The people versus Elon Musk." Deputy Attorney General Amelia Grant, a petite woman with a steely gaze, stood up to enumerate the charges: market manipulation, Section 10b-5 of the Securities Exchange Act, electronic fraud, obstruction of justice, and, more surprisingly, aggravated industrial espionage. Her words fell like hammer blows. The defendant has turned his Twitter platform into a weapon of mass destruction for the financial markets. She projected the now famous tweet from August 7, 2018 AM considering taking Tesla private at $420. Funding secured. Followed by a graph showing the surge and then the collapse of the stock price. The defense team, led by renowned criminal lawyer Robert D. Barnes, immediately launched a counterattack. Their central argument was that Musk was a misunderstood visionary whose statements, though reckless, stemmed from entrepreneurial enthusiasm, not fraudulent intent. They presented emails showing that real discussions with the Saudi sovereign fund had indeed taken place. Judge Roberts, brow furrowed, asked, "Where is the evidence that the funding was actually secured at this specific price, as your client claimed?" On the third day, the prosecutor called a surprise witness, Jason Wu, former deputy CFO of Tesla. Pale and trembling hands, he revealed under oath that Musk had personally ordered to inflate the production forecasts for the Model 3 while the factory was in crisis. Worse, he told us, the numbers are a matter of perspective, not reality. The defense objected vehemently, but the damage was done. Tesla's shares plummeted by 12% during the session before the SEC ordered a temporary suspension. As the trial seemed to be turning into a disaster for Musk, Day 7 brought the centerpiece of the prosecution, audio recordings from 2020 where Musk, visibly upset, told an executive, "I know the numbers are false, but that's the game. All the builders do the same." Then, even more troubling, if the SEC comes snooping around, remind them how many people we employ in California. Judge Roberts interrupted the hearing for an exceptional recess, his face closed like a prison door. In a scene worthy of a Hollywood thriller, a dozen former engineers from Tesla and SpaceX burst into the courtroom with their own lawyer. They filed a class action lawsuit for toxic corporate culture and systematic data falsification. One of them, in tears, recounted how he was forced to manipulate the results of battery safety tests. Musk, for the first time, lost his composure and shouted, "It's a conspiracy by Big Oil," before his lawyer made him sit down. As the trial neared its end, a young woman stood up from the audience. She identified herself as Clara V., a former scientist at Neuralink, and handed the judge a USB drive containing 37,000 internal emails. Among the most damning, Musk ordering to steal the best brains from Facebook by hacking their LinkedIn accounts, and discussing ways to neutralize an investigative journalist. Judge Roberts, after review, declared this evidence admissible despite the defense's screams. Chapter 8, the verdict that shook Wall Street. After only 6 hours of deliberation, the jury returned with a unanimous verdict, guilty on all 11 counts. The judge pronounced the sentence with a grave solemnity: 8 years in prison, 4 of which were suspended, a $15 billion fine, and, the final blow, a lifetime ban from holding any executive position in a publicly traded company. As he was led away in handcuffs, Musk shouted to the room, "Innovation is now a crime. You have just killed the future." In the months that followed, Tesla was placed under judicial administration, SpaceX lost its government contracts, and X, formerly Twitter, went bankrupt. Clara V., under witness protection, revealed in an interview with the New York Times how she had risked her life to gather evidence. As for Musk, incarcerated in the federal prison of Otisville, he would spend his days writing manifestos on the death of innovative capitalism, his jailers regularly confiscating his writings. This trial, now taught in law schools as the U.S. versus Enron of the 21st century, marked the end of an era where tech barons believed themselves untouchable. A costly but necessary lesson on the limits of entrepreneurial hubris. 5 years later, in a federal cell with gray walls, Elon Musk looked through the bars at the broadcast of the latest SpaceX launch, now led by a former NASA engineer. The media, which had once praised his genius, now spoke of him only in the past tense, as a historical curiosity, a modern Icarus burned by his own son. His companies, dismantled and restructured under government supervision, paradoxically thrived, liberated from his creative chaos. The whistleblower had founded an institute for technological ethics, her face briefly appearing on screen during an interview where she stated, "No vision, no matter how grand, justifies trampling on laws and lives." Musk turned off the television with a weary gesture, the clinking of his handcuffs echoing in the silence of his cell, a sound that now sealed the end of the myth far more surely than any verdict. The legend was dead, but the world, indifferent, had already turned the page.